Okay, now for more on this debate over pharmaceutical tariffs, we're joined by Dr. Michael Aziz, a board-certified internist and regenerative medicine specialist. Welcome to the program. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Sean.
Now, Doctor, this is an important issue that may not be getting the attention that it really deserves. Now, from everything I've read, there is a big concern among big pharmaceutical companies that tariffs are going to drive up production and development costs. So where do we go from here? What are you looking at? What are the major concerns?
I think in the United States, the tariffs are really detrimental to patients' health, and it's really unknown right now the effect of the tariffs on American consumers and for the patients as well. It will be a big production cost for many pharmaceutical companies to come back to the United States to make those drugs here. But for now, the effect of the tariffs are unknown. It will be probably in the summer. And if they take effect, it will be devastating to the consumer, to the patients, because the price of the medications will be much higher.
So the major drug companies do have a lot of lobbying power. So what are these drug companies doing right now? Because there does seem to be a push, as we heard, to get Trump to stagger or slow down the push for tariffs on pharmaceuticals.
Well, the problem are the drugs that are generic, and India are making 40% of the drug supplies in the whole world. So those companies are completely different than the companies that are available here in the United States. And those medications are relied on by people who are self-insured, who don't have insurance, and by people who cannot afford high-cost medications, so generic drugs, blood pressure, amlodipine, simple antibiotic like amoxicillin. So it's going to affect the consumers and the patients here. And even cancer patients, some of them are relying on those drugs.
Yeah, and also as people in the United States get older, it's no secret that we put on weight, we have other health issues that do come, so we turn more to medication at a certain age. So from what you're telling me, consumers who are already watching their 401k sort of dissipate, now they're facing the prospect of paying more for medicine that they already think is too expensive. What can you tell consumers right now?
I think it's very hard to tell consumers what's going to happen next because those effects are changing every single day. Countries are negotiating as well. I think many of the cost of the medicine will be covered by insurance, but the one who lose it will be the pharmacies because it takes time for the time the insurance company to reimburse the pharmacy the right amount of money. So it's going to take some time. But for the self-paying patient, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and Doctor, you also mentioned cancer patients. So there's always the concern, especially from those in the greatest need, that it could be more difficult to find and afford life-saving drugs.
Yeah, the effects are beyond money. The effects are going to be on patients' health. There are patients who are going to skip their medications, who cannot afford the medications. We're going to cut the medications and take half the dose, which is not the right dose. So really it's going to be detrimental to patients' health on the long term.
Boy, that's scary stuff. Now, we did hear about India, and you talked about them making, what, 40% of the pharmaceuticals that are used worldwide. From an Indian perspective, if they do have success in getting Trump to hold off on pharmaceutical tariffs, could India be a big winner?
It's possible, but also many of the active ingredients of the drugs that are manufactured in India are also imported from different countries like China. So it's going to be a very complex issue to get the active ingredients in drugs, to make them, and to have them at a reasonable cost for the American consumer.
Yeah, and with this global economy, that's one thing that often is not talked about enough, that it doesn't come from one nation. Now, with so much research also based in the EU right now, there's a huge fear in the European Union that could be upended with added cost of tariffs. Some manufacturers could be looking to come back to the United States. Could that theoretically happen?
Again, it's very cost prohibitive to make a company here, to make the manufacturing here, not only for drugs but for anything, for cars, and that's going to take years. But for now, the patients, the consumers will be affected by the short-term effects of this back and forth with the negotiations and with the tariffs.